Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to have a very interesting conversation on OKRs and
Data culture.
data culture. Along with me is a very, very prominent person in the field of data culture, and he is
I'm Ganes Kesari, co-founder and chief decision scientist at Gramener.
excellent. And I am Kenneth Lewis, co founder and managing partner at OKR International. Today, as we said, we're going to talk about a very interesting conversation, and that is how OKRs and data culture, how they both get along with each other in an organization. So, we all know that organizations are fast recognizing the importance of increasing their ROI in data. And one of the most strategic imperatives is to increase their data maturity. At the same time, there are organizations who have implemented or at the verge of implementing OKRs within their organization. So today we're going to talk about the intersection and more about how these two one is a methodology and the other is a way of working on data itself. How can these two complement each other?
I know at OKR International, your world revolves around OKRs. You've been helping several organizations set this up.
Yeah.
What makes you so passionate about this topic?
I think because OKRs happened to us around 5 years ago. It happened to me as an investor in an organization where the founders of the organization knocked on my door and said, "Hey, have you guys heard of OKRs?" And I said, "Yeah, I've kind of heard about it." And then he said, "Can we try it?" So I quickly read upon it and I decided to use it in that organization with just a small read up. The reason is because I have a good background in balanced scorecard and strategic leadership in helping organizations, especially in driving growth. My coming to Jesus moment was when a large scale FMCG company that I was working with, when they decided to get onto OKRs just around 2 years ago, within no time they started seeing double digit growth, and double digit growth hadn't happened to them for almost a decade, and OKRs helped transform their practice. So it's stories like this that just increase the passion for me on OKRs. Okay, so what excites you about data and data analytics?
I see great potential of data in helping organizations make better decisions, Ken. So data-driven decision making is my passion. And I've been using it, for example, in my personal space. I've been maintaining a time log, um, 24 hours for the last 4 years. And that's how I've been building habits and course correcting my life. And similarly, I've been working with organizations on using data from different spheres of the organization to help decision making at both the strategic and the transactional level. So that's what drives me on a daily basis.
That's lovely. You're bringing data into your actual personal life, and that's really beautiful to hear. I have another question to you, and the question is, what is data culture?
Uh, that's a very interesting buzzword these days. So if you go back to organizational culture, I like it. I like to define it as what your employees do when no one is really watching. So it's the set of practices and behaviors which drive people in an organization. So similarly, data culture is how people use data, or rather not use data as well, as they go about their day-to-day work. For example, are they using data to arrive at the most appropriate decisions, or are they making the decision first and then choosing the data to support it? That really defines what a data culture of an organization is.
Is it easy or is it tough to achieve data culture?
The famous saying goes that culture eats a strategy for breakfast, right? So culture is extremely tough. It takes years to change, even slightly. So that way, data culture is again tough. There are several elements to it. You need to bring in the technology, which a lot of people talk about. You need to bring in the right processes to make the technology work, which some people talk about. And it needs a change in the mindset and behavior of people, which not many people talk about. If I also look at OKRs, and at Gramener we've been doing this for the last 2 years, and thanks to OKR International for helping us out with that. Before we dive into that, can you introduce very briefly what OKRs are?
It's a management system that helps you set up very audacious goals. Along with audacious goals, making sure that those goals are transparent There's a democratic process in the way those goals are set. There is an alignment across the teams and the organizations that are involved in the OKR process. And there's a cadence, there's a discipline on how those goals are tracked. So it is about having your goals set in such a way that everybody is inspired by the objective, which is the general direction, and the KRs, which is the measurability of how are we doing in the direction that we're heading towards.
Okay, that's perfect. So what are the biggest challenges you've seen organizations face while adopting OKRs?
The biggest challenge is looking for the perfect implementation of OKRs. People want to get up and running so immediately that their patience wears out. And we have seen a lot of people thinking that OKRs is going to be a magic bullet. Because Google did it, LinkedIn did it, Spotify did it, so can we. And they get onto it thinking just reading a book or watching a video is enough. And you see their patience wearing off when they immediately go back or they default back to their old ways. So the old way was a waterfall method of goal setting. Then you see them defaulting in OKRs itself to the waterfall method. So the leader sets the goal and everybody and tells everybody what their goals is going to be. And then within no time, people start not looking at these goals very seriously.
I can so relate to that. When we first started doing OKRs, that's exactly how we approached it. Aiming for perfection, like you mentioned. So leaders want to build the perfect the data warehouse before they even plan analytics, or they want to build a perfect model before they roll it out organization wide. That's a big mistake. So organizations must do it iteratively. Choose a problem which is easy to solve, deliver on it, demonstrate to the people that yes, this actually works, because data and analytics needs change management. It's a new way of working. And once you have that, the initial set of supporters, and you have some small value delivered, then you can radiate and replicate this across the organization.
To start the OKR journey along with the data analytic journey, and having the change management process, just like what you're saying, uh, planned in such a way that both can work hand in hand with each other. All of this, especially the data practice and the data culture, how does it help in you setting, tracking, or even achieving your OKRs?
Uh, if I go back to our own example at Gramener, when we started OKRs 2 years back, we obviously we made some mistakes which we corrected this year in terms of how we approach it. But having a data-driven team or people who understand and can relate to data was very helpful. Like being an organization which helps other companies with this, we were able to bring that in, and the metrics, defining the metrics, tracking of it, and all of it was easier. Whereas the challenge was in defining the right goals and structuring the OKRs in the right way. Let's dig in a little deeper and talk about how OKRs can help data culture and vice versa. So why don't you share from your experience how
Yeah.
OKRs can help with data-driven decision making?
So I would like to first present an image to you, and this is an image that was quietly popular just around a few months back. So here it goes. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
So you can
This
see. What do you see?
Yeah, so I've seen this earlier from Marketonist, and uh, this is so revealing, right? So organizations talk about data metrics, they get so obsessed with it that they lose the forest for the trees.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh my God, So we have seen this. I like to call this as vanity OKRs. Vanity OKRs is stuff that makes you look good, but may not be necessarily necessary for the organization. And we see this a lot. Where teams say, "All right, let's get into OKRs. Let's set goals that we know we are good at, and let's put metrics and targets that we can measure, and let's put a beautiful dashboard that we can take a look at all the time, and then the dashboard just gets built on." The key about OKRs in all of this, Ganesh, is that OKRs is not for everything that you do in a business. It is for the called out priorities, the critical to success goals that are important for you in the short term and the long term. So how does that help data culture? Once you set that discipline of priority, then the second part is transparency. Everybody should be able to see that information, that means when people check in onto the software or onto whatever platform they're using, people see that there's an inputting of the right set of progress around each of the measurements that are there. And the other part is the democratization. That means there are other people who are inputting data, more people are inputting the information, and it's for everybody to see. And it's a democratic way of choosing which direction we want to go on. So this is where I believe OKRs can really help in helping organizations become better at their data practice as well.
Okay. Yeah, well said. This reminds me of there's an experiment run by Google. So they set up prediction markets within Google. There's a concept where they ask questions to their employees. For instance, will this feature of Gmail roll out on time? Initially, the managers thought, what could the employees who may not be fully involved in the entire decision making, they may not have much visibility to answer this poll. But interestingly, Google found out that when they got this collective input from all the people, this collective intelligence was able to tell with accuracy when a feature would release or whether a decision would work for the organization, and it was much more accurate than what the managers were thinking. So this is the power of collective intelligence. I think that can be a very useful way to track and even plan it as part of the OKR cadence, so that you can course correct continuously.
My next question to you is, what, as per you, is some of the enablers needed to really get data culture going in an organization?
Yeah. I talked about three perspectives: the mindset, skill set, and tool set. So we'll talk about one key element in each. When it comes to mindset, changing the mindsets of people, the role of leadership is crucial. How the leaders are able to walk the talk and able to paint a picture of where the organization should go and motivate the people. So the role of leadership is number one. From a skill set perspective, data literacy, being able to read, write, and understand data is very crucial for data culture. And third one, right tool set, democratization of data. While you can have very good platforms and fancy AI tools, you need to make sure that it reaches everyone within the organization. Easy access and availability, and making sure there is trust in the data. So when you bring in all these three, these can prop up data culture. On that note, the final question to you: what are the enablers that you see for OKRs? I'm sure there are some similarities with these.
I think it's so similar. Data to OKRs is almost the fuel to success. So when organizations set up their goals, they need the data to back it. What's critical is especially the leadership culture. And we talk about leadership culture, is moving from that command and control where a leader says what I think is right, towards moving towards what is the data telling me that's right? What are my people, especially coming back to the point of collective intelligence? What is the collective intelligence telling me that is right, and which direction we need to move on? So that's what we call as servant leadership. Now, the enabler for that is a whole lot of that leader himself or herself being very clear that they may not know everything. And the answer lies in the masses. In order to support that, it's about developing that kind of psychological safety within the teams and within the organization so that people can come forth and give their ideas. So, as you said, fancy tools and systems and platforms are only conduits. But at the end of it, you need people to be able to input and look at those data and create decisions. And hence, that leadership culture, having the right set of leadership culture, is so important for that.
Very well said. Yeah. This is an interesting conversation, Ken. So I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. I think this is wonderful. I'm just looking for more conversations with you on this topic and probably other topics as well.